If you have a child in your life, perhaps it's your child, perhaps a grandchild, who is struggling a little bit with some speech issues, when they're little tiny, it's cute, but as they begin to get older, you can worry, what if this pattern doesn't change? And where do you turn to get the help you're looking for? Well, this morning you turn to us here on 3+U, because we're very happy to have Ginger Vetrano, who is a speech pathologist, nationally certified, with a newly opened practice out in the Ottawa area on the show. Good to see you.
Thank you.
So I was that parent, that's why I said it. When my children were growing up, I loved the little, the speech you only get when they're 2 and 3.
Right.
The cute little
Yes.
things. But there does come a point where you begin to worry as a parent if that's not going away.
Absolutely. You want your child to be on target developmentally, and if they're using sounds that are not appropriate, then you notice that they sound more immature than their typical peers.
So if it's okay, I'm going to bring in a little bit of a family story that you
Sure.
shared with me, because people often wonder what causes a person to go into their practice. You experienced it in your family firsthand when your sister began to talk. Is
Right.
that right?
She was diagnosed with autism in the 70s, when that wasn't even really yet a diagnosis, but she did not talk until she was 5. And it made such a huge impact once she went to a speech pathologist and started talking. Our whole family, it was just so positive for everyone. And in that moment, I knew that that's what I wanted to do to help people when I grew up.
So within your practice, now that you are all grown up and certified, do you help children with all different types of speech differences? And what's the right word to use?
So I help in a lot of areas developmentally, like speech articulation, kids who have trouble learning how to read, write, and spell. And there's such a correlation between children who have these articulation disorders at a young age, and if they don't get the early intervention they need, then they have a lot of trouble in the area of literacy. You can imagine if you can't hear the sound correctly, you can't pronounce the sound correctly, then it's going to be hard to know that the letter A makes A, or K makes K. Mm-hmm. So I do a lot of work with language and learning differences. I love to work with children who have autism. Mm-hmm. I can work with that population as well. I have students who have stuttering issues or fluency issues. And
what do you mean by a fluency issue?
Like a stutter, like
Okay.
if a child has limited fluency, where they repeat sounds or they repeat words when they're trying to communicate.
Is that sometimes, not always, but is that sometimes the result of like your brain is kind of going faster than your words can keep up?
Well, it is a neurological problem, that's for sure, and it can be trauma-induced or it can be developmental. It's very hereditary. Mm-hmm. We see it a lot more in boys than girls. So yes, I think, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does answer my question, and I'm glad that you brought up the neurological part, because when she sat down, I said, oh, look at your shoes. She has these fun shoes on. And you said you love to have something just kind of fun for your kids to enjoy.
Yes.
And I say that because the tone you're setting in your practice is critical, right?
Right. And building rapport is really fun and easy for me. I think that's a big part when I meet a new child, of getting to know them and them getting to know me. And I really like to introduce games and make it really fun. Mm-hmm. And the whole session can be like that. And you can work your goals into that, and they leave feeling very positive about themselves.
Are you kind of a safe place for them in a way? Because if you're a 5 or 6 year old, you're old enough to know that maybe what you're doing is not what your other friends are doing. Maybe there's some picking on that happens. To come into your world and be accepted for where they are is pretty big.
It is. In fact, one of the most rewarding times for me is when I've had a student maybe for a month or 6 weeks, and suddenly they realize that I'm really helping them. And one of my clients was very, very shy. He had a really hard time speaking. And one day when he left, he drew me all these hearts on a little sticky note. And I was like, oh my gosh, he knows that I'm really here to help him.
Right.
And, you know, we had that connection. And that's what it's all about, really.
And you know, and as a parent, I'm a mom of 2. You just instinctively know things about your children. You just do. And so if you know what your child is capable of, or you know this hidden talent that he or she has, whatever it is, and this one thing is keeping that from emerging, it's so powerful when they finally break through.
Right.
They get to be who they're meant to be.
That's right, yes. And it really is a big confidence booster. One of my favorite clients is a second, third, or fourth grader who's having trouble reading, and they're very defeated, and they come in and we start working, and right away they see success. And I use a particular program that's like a multimodality approach. So they're hearing the sounds, they're feeling the sounds, they're seeing the sounds, and they make quick progress, and they see that they're really able to do well in school.
So just to make sure I'm understanding you, when you talk about the child that has a difficult time reading, for example, is that child going to also present with a speech difficulty, or does it always?
Not always.
Okay.
Not always, but there is a real correlation between having that articulation problem and then having those literacy issues. But children can come with just symptoms of dyslexia, where they have trouble reading, writing, and spelling, and I work with those children. They're my favorite kind of clients, really. I really enjoy, because they can see such good progress so quickly with some strategies that they get.
Those are magic words for anybody watching, because you want a journey that's going to get you to success. Of course you do, but there's a fatigue factor here too. You want to see those results. So to hear you talk about timelines as little as a month to 6 weeks for some people, that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, well, I'm not a miracle worker.
Sure,
but
you're close.
But listen, I have never met a child I don't love, and that's the key. If you love a child, you can teach them anything.
So you're taking that and kind of bringing it to the people, so to speak, because on March 5th, she's located in Cambridge Square over in Ottawa.
Right.
So on March 5th, you're having an open house. People can come and they can bring their kids if they want to, right?
Yes, absolutely.
To see what it's like.
Yes, I'm the only private practice with a separate office in Ottawa, and it started in August, and I have plenty of clients after school. It keeps me very busy. So yes, I'd love for anyone to come if they have inquiries about their child's development, or what speech therapy looks like.
Is it helpful to you if they've been to other people, or if they've perhaps been seeing a counselor at their elementary school or something like that? Do you like to have that history, or do you like to assess things on your own?
Well, if they have a recent report within like a year, I can use that easily to go on. But I really like to look at the whole child, and I like to look at the social emotional. I have one client who's really struggled with some meltdowns and self-regulating, and I've used a social emotional program with him that he has just loved, and he's doing so much better, and he's gained so much confidence. So I really feel like I like to do my own evaluations, unless it's something very cut and dried that they're like, this came from another place, and I can easily use that.
And
to go on.
with the kid side of it, that is what you focus on. But if somebody's watching and they have a teenager, is that too late?
No, not at all. I love to work with middle schoolers, high schoolers, especially high-functioning students with autism who need that social emotional help.
Okay.
Children with Asperger's, which we really don't use that term anymore, but on the high end of the autism spectrum, they often are very inflexible thinkers. And so teaching them how to be more flexible, how to take perspective, how to think about other people are thinking about them. A lot of times kids with autism, they're just in their own brains.
Right.
So learning that somebody else is having thoughts about me, that's really important. And then picking up on all the social cues that they often miss. Those are fun students for me as well.
It's the fact that you can have that conversation and say that those are fun students
yes.
shows the heart that you have for what you do.
Julie.
So you can find her at Scenic City Speech. Their open house is March 5th from 2 to 4. Go have dinner after you're through.
That's right.
plenty
right.
of restaurants there in Cambridge Square. And her phone number, if we can, online at scenicityspeech.com. And did you want us to share your
Sure.
phone number? What is it?
It's 423-903-2498.
And when you become her friend, you'll call her Ginger.
Yes, that's right. I go
Thank
by
you.
Ginger. Thank you, Julie, for having me.